we pre-flighted the plane, fueled up, and put in a quart of oil, and we're headed to Kalispell to visit with my mother for the day, and got a few miles north of Everett, and I had a little, noticed the carburetor heat control kept coming out on the panel, so I kept pushing it back in. It did that about 3 times, which is totally abnormal. Then I felt a slight vibration in the engine, and started checking things out, and I looked over and discovered that there was no oil pressure. At that point, I decided to head back for Missoula. It was still running reasonably well, although vibrating, and about the time I got turned around, headed back for Missoula, and I had switched to the emergency frequency, 121.5, and declared an emergency. Got a response on that. I think it was an airliner, but I'm not sure. They monitor those frequencies. But at that point, it started running quite a bit rougher and knocking. So I backed the engine off as far as I could and went into as slow a descent as I could. I was about 6,500 feet and headed for Everett Canyon. And as soon as I declared a Mayday, my wife had never heard that word before, and she knew something was pretty amiss. But I kept pointing out fields to her that we could land in if necessary, and thought we might make the airport. But just as we were coming out of Everett Canyon, the engine seized up and quit. And, of course, at that point, there wasn't any hope of making the airport, so I discussed with the tower the possibility of landing on the highway there north of the Y. And it would have been good, other than it was pretty congested with traffic. So I looked things over and opted for the field right to the west of the little Jellystone RV park north of the Y, and set it up into a good healthy glide with plenty of airspeed in case I encountered a fence or a ditch or something. But it all looked pretty good, and quite a rough landing, but we made a cloud of dust and quite a bit of weeds flying around, but we made a good landing.
Oh my goodness! Wow. So I imagine who was in charge of prayer on that one?
Well, that would be my co-pilot, Judy.
I'd say you had another co-pilot in there with you.
Yeah, no kidding. Yep.
So in this case, you really could say God was your co-pilot.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, she was praying pretty hard, but she handled it very well. I was real proud of her. I wasn't distracted at all. And
were either of you injured at all?
Not a lick. Nope. We were totally unscathed.
So what's the condition of the aircraft?
Aircraft is totally intact, other than the engine has regurgitated all the oil all over the side of the airplane, and the engine is seized up. But the airplane's just fine.